Well, hi everyone. Just our second try here because Facebook had me typing things in that I didn't quite understand. So Laura will be here any minute. And if you're watching this, welcome. How are you? I think that's the big question. And there's a lot of ways of answering that. How are you? I'm fine. How are you? I'm overwhelmed, exhausted, confused, worried, grateful. So we're going to be moving this conversation over to Facebook Live. That's probably where you'll be watching it. And we'd love your comments. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Susan.
So let me get over to Live on Facebook.
Great.
And then it has me do some things and choose the page I want to launch it on. And then I'm just going to skip that last thing I did because it got me into trouble.
Okay.
Preparing the preview.
Oh, I'm going to grab my water.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, this takes a little minute. Okay. Can I hit live?
Yes.
Okay. Go live anyway. That's where I made my fatal mistake. So it's just setting things up.
And on Facebook. I should put it on my Facebook also.
Yeah.
I can share the recording on my Facebook later.
That's perfect. Although, Amy, if you could confirm that this is happening on Facebook, it looks like it is, but I want to make sure we're on the right page and not my personal page. So Amy's here on text. Laura, Dr. Laura Markham, one of my favorite colleagues.
Hi, Susan.
And we have, we've had some fun times together and we're heading into a big fun time together. So will you say a few things for those who have tuned in about siblings, just in general? Why is it both an amazing gift to have more than one child and perhaps an incredible challenge?
Well, it's a gift to us to have more than one child. They're all unique and every child is unique, and what a blessing. However, they don't necessarily know it's a gift. Sometimes, miraculously, it's a good fit. They're best friends just without you doing a thing. It does happen. It's wonderful. And sometimes, not so miraculously, it's not a good fit.
Yeah.
And they're jealous of each other from the start. The older one really doesn't forgive the younger one for being born. They grudgingly, allow them in their life, and barely so. The younger one reacts by being angry. They both want to push each other off your lap. And when they have a disagreement, they don't have the skills to work it out. So for parents, it can be really, it can destroy the peace in your home in a way that is, it can seem intractable, but it's not actually intractable. Even when you have kids who are temperamentally really different, you can set standards for civility. You can enforce them kindly, calmly, supportively, but you can enforce kids to not tease each other, for instance, and you can give them the skills to work out their differences. And I think that's what none of us were taught as children, how to work out differences. Parents didn't know how to teach that, how to do it. Most of us didn't learn how to do it. We grew up without learning that. And so the great news is parents actually can learn those things themselves, and they can teach them to their children, and they can reduce a lot of sibling friction and rivalry just by how they act. So I'm on a mission to help parents learn those skills and realize that they actually have the power to empower parents really in their own homes to help siblings learn the skills they need to get along better and have a more peaceful home.
That's just so comprehensive. It's sort of a nice big umbrella over the whole topic. And, I'm fascinated by this. I think that we have focused rightly on the parent-child relationship to a great degree, but lots of studies have indicated that a child actually is profoundly influenced by the relationship that he or she has with their brothers and sisters because they're their peers. And so if you have a brother who constantly tells you you're an idiot or tells you that you're ugly, we don't brush that off when we're young. We don't have the kind of wherewithal to think, oh, well, my brother's probably just jealous of me because mom didn't handle my arrival very compassionately, or didn't give him an outlet for his big feelings when I was born. So the child internalizes so many of the messages that they take in from the teasing, the bickering, the arguing. And yet we don't give this the same attention. Would you agree? I mean, there are some popular books out there, but it's not as simple as say this and not that, is it?
Right. It is not as simple as say this and not that, because the more human beings you add into the dynamic, the more complicated it gets. And yes, siblings have the research is pretty clear that siblings have a tremendous impact. When it's a close, positive relationship, it gives you strength for the rest of your life, that you have that person always, no matter what. Parents will not live forever. And to know that you have your sibling to face your parents' aging years together is a remarkable gift. Even to be able to call your sibling when you're having a baby, when you're when you're getting, together with somebody, a partner, just to have that person who's beyond a best friend, because they grew up with you. They know you better than anyone. Even if they have a view of you that is a little older, it's not so much who you've become lately. They know what makes you tick, and they've forgiven you for anything, because you grew up together, and they're the only person in the world. And if you have more than one, maybe you have 3 or 4 of you who know what it was like to be in your family when you were younger. Right. What a tremendous gift that can be for people. And it has a huge impact. And we also know the negative is also true, that, as you said, when there's teasing, when there's hitting, that siblings, self-esteem, any kind of bullying, we know damages self-esteem for children. Children are at a vulnerable age. Yeah. And if it's a sibling who lives with you, it's worse, because presumably your big brother knows you. And if he says you're ugly, maybe you wonder.
Yeah. So we did a class together, I think it was just 2 or 3 weeks ago, on siblings, and it was really good. We were packing in as much as we possibly could, and people wrote in later to just thank us, and they really enjoyed it. And at the end of that, you and I had an hour-long plus conversation, kind of debriefing, and we realized that some of the skills that we introduced in that class are not necessarily easy to just hear and then implement. So we came up with this idea. We batted around a lot of ideas because we know that parents in particular, have limited financial resources, limited time, the ability to focus. And so we've come up with this idea of a 3-part class where we can give homework, we can give the opportunity to practice the strategies that we introduced during the class. And I'm super excited about it. I don't want anyone to take the class who doesn't need it or want it, but we did want to answer anyone's questions. If you have heard about the 3-part class, I know it's on my Facebook page, the banner. I know that you've promoted it into your wonderful community. So if you are on the call and you have a question particularly about what that's going to be like, today we were just finalizing some of the curriculum with some questions that you'll get before you even take the class, and then we have homework for you. But it's light, it's going to be easy, and mostly it's going to be a chance to learn skills that mostly people don't learn. You think that just because you have a child, there's some automatic download, like what should I do when they're sad? What do I do when they're jealous? What do I do when they're fighting? But these are skills, and they're learnable skills, right?
Yeah.
So here's a question. I have 3 boys who fight a lot. My oldest can be so cruel to my middle son. It's constant.
That is so common, that when it's 3 kids, that the oldest one has never forgiven the second one for being born, even if they're fine with the third one. It's funny that still the second one is the one that they regard as the person who stole something of value from them. And I think that's the secret here, is that, yes, you have to enforce standards of civility where our family rule is be kind. Teasing is not kind. But we also can help that oldest child to work through the baggage that they're carrying of resentment. Also, we can help the second child to stand up for himself.
Yeah.
So we can say to the second child who just got teased yet again, you know, I'm looking at your face. It looks like you don't really like what your brother is saying to you. You can tell your brother, don't tease me. Or when you don't call me names, or when I'm not a baby, don't call me a baby, or whatever. We can teach children to stand up for themselves in a way that is assertive without attacking the other child. And of course, then we have to be their backup. Then when they say that to their older brother, we can say, and the older brother says, I don't care what you want, or whatever. We say, whoa, whoa, whoa. Those are some words that could really hurt. Do you hear what your brother is saying to you? It's not okay to tease him. He's asking you not to tease. And also we can introduce the concept of repair. So we can say, seems like you and your brother have had a hard time lately. And after he's been able to sort of blow off steam to us about how bad his brother is, which he will do, his brother has 10 million faults, all of which are a problem for him. We can acknowledge it was a problem when, we can see how that would bother you when your brother wrecked your so-and-so or interrupted your so-and-so or always wants my attention when you're with me. I can really see. And by the way, we're going to talk about attention in our class, because I think parents need some support on how to divide their attention between their children, because they're always feeling hugged. But
Laura, can you repeat that part?
Yes.
Laura, can
yes.
you repeat that? We don't have a great connection. So if you could just repeat what you said about, we'll just back up a couple of sentences. Anything you say will be wonderful.
Oh, good. So what I was saying is we will talk about how to divide your attention so that you're not feeling, because parents feel so torn between different kids. But back to the last thing I'd say about the oldest one being mean to the second child, or any child being mean to another one, is that we want to introduce the concept of repair. Your brother was really hurt when you did X, Y, Z. I wonder what you could do to make things better with him. Now, if the kid says, I'll never make things better with him, then you've got some work to do. And that's also something we'll be talking about in our masterclass, is how to melt that chip on the shoulder that causes the child to hold that resentment. And there are ways to do that.
That's so important. And I love that we in our work, we both really understand that getting to the root is the key, not putting a Band-Aid on or setting a bunch of rules that sort of override what a child's emotional experience might be. That in the long run, these conflicts are actually great opportunities, not only for emotions to come out into the open and be worked through with our loving help, but also for a child to discover and take into his or her adult life, oh, I can bump up against someone's hard edges and work through it. And what an amazing gift to give. I sure wish I had been given that gift as a child, to know that just because you and someone disagree, or you don't feel like you're on the same page about an issue or a topic, or you both strongly want the thing that you want, and that contradicts the other person's desire, that you can negotiate and compromise and tolerate and resolve differences.
There's a lot of new research coming out of UCLA, I think. Ed Tronick and Dr. Gold, I think Monica Gold, have a new book out on repair and trust. And it's exactly what you just said. All of the research that they're reporting on is when we go through that experience with someone where there's a misattunement, where there's something messy, because that's a human thing to have it be a little messy. And when we are able to work that through together, it creates trust. And it creates resilience in each person, and the ability to trust in the future, to trust in future relationships. So it's a great opportunity for siblings to develop not just skills, but inner knowing that will last them the rest of their lives.
Oh, that's fantastic. Do we have time for one more question?
Sure.
Okay, it's really frustrating between my 7-year-old twins when they fight, and most of the time it's obvious that the one has a vulnerable feeling, and I get it, but the one has a high spirit and the other has more the victim role. What is the best to do for them? Reach for the victim? I do offer them the words to say, but still my high-spirited child keeps teasing and enjoys the angry reactions.
Yes. Well, so the problem with I mean, it's bullying basically. What
Yeah.
bullying does is bullying receives some benefit from somebody else's discomfort. That's what that is one definition of bullying, right? And it's certainly a very human trait, especially if you're not feeling so good
Yeah.
inside yourself. You
Yeah.
could be bored, or you could be feeling not so good about yourself, a little
Yeah.
jealous of the other kid, or just like you're not good enough in some way, or mom just snapped at you, or whatever. So the high-spirited child who is enjoying that, I think that's something to talk about. I think, and you could talk about it with them one-on-one, because if you talk about it with all three of the two children and the parent, I think that that child will feel shamed.
Yeah.
What we want is for them to hear that we understand completely, but that they're better than that. They're better than building themselves up by doing that to the other person. And that what we want to teach the high-spirited child is notice what you're feeling that drives you to do this to your sib.
Yes.
I mean, right now, the 7-year-old, they're seven. They're seven.
Yeah.
They take it for granted that, oh, I poke them, they squirm. I like that. It makes me feel powerful. I've got my own little remote here. We want to help them notice what happened before they did the poking, right? Every time a child does something we don't like, if we can help them notice what happened before they did it, they're more likely to find a better way to manage that feeling, right? And I would just say the victim needs to learn to stand up for themselves.
Yeah.
Again, as we talked about earlier, to coach them to say, you can say to your twin,
Such great material. So everyone, I know that as you watch this, there will be lots and lots of questions. And of course, Laura and I both have our respective communities and email newsletters and Facebook pages and all kinds of offerings. So take advantage of whatever calls to you. And if you feel like, okay, I'm at a point now where I really want to kind of push through the old patterns, the ineffective ways I've been reacting, a lot of those are inherited. Whatever our parents did with us is likely to be the thing that we do with our own children, even though we might be horrified to hear their words coming out of our mouth. It's just human. But if you feel like you want to use some of this time to build a new set of skills and understandings, then we are super happy to support you in that and make it as easy as possible to integrate and internalize some of the things that we'll be teaching in the class. So it's not just a bunch of interviews and lectures. It is a class, right, Laura?
It's a class that's hands-on. We'll be doing coaching with situations that come up that people bring up in the class, and we'll be demonstrating with that person, or with two people, two pretending they're siblings, we'll be demonstrating how to intervene. And I think everyone will learn from watching each other, and everyone can raise their hand to get a possibility for being coached.
Exactly. And then, of course, if you can't attend live, which we understand can be very difficult, you're still welcome to join us. The replays come out within a couple of hours of the class itself, and you'll still get all the homework, and you can engage in that way. So, Laura.
And I would encourage people, even if you can't attend live, I would encourage you, because I think when you watch us coaching someone else, you're going to have an aha moment where you go, oh, of course. I've been saying that exact thing to my kid, and now I realize that isn't working. And I see the better way to do it. So I don't think you have to be there live to really have a transformational understanding of what you can do differently.
I'm a passionate lifelong learner. I right now I'm using an app on my phone that my son told me about called Duolingo. And I've got Spanish, and then I go to French, and then I go to Hindi, because it's like, learning. Some of you might relate to that, and use this if you'd like as an opportunity to learn and to grow. One of the beautiful things about our children is that they reflect back to us some of our unfinished business, some of the unhealed wounds from our own childhood. So if you're the younger child, if you grew up as the younger child, and then you have two kids and the younger one is constantly bullied as you were, then you're going to bring some of the unfinished business to the way that you support those kids. And of course, there's lots of other variations. If you were the older misunderstood child, always blamed, then you may find it hard to not side with your older child. So we get to work at understanding that, looking at that with an open-hearted approach and insight, and do some really wonderful growth. So Laura, thank you.
I'm so excited to work with you on Friday. And
Me too.
anyone who's watching, please join us.
Join us if yeah.
If this seems like a good fit for you. Yeah.
Yeah. And, the class is still available if people want to take that. It's a one-off thing. But I think what came out of that class for you and I was really an understanding of how challenging it could be to read something or hear something and then actually do it. So we're going to support you however we can. And all of you, please stay well, stay in, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your families. We know this is a challenging time. Anything you want to add, Laura? Anything that people might want to hear?
I guess I would just say, enjoy your children. That's one of the keys to getting through this tough time together.
Yeah.
Enjoy your children.
Beautiful. Yeah. All right, everyone, take good care.
All right.
We'll catch up with you soon. Bye, Laura. See you soon.
Bye-bye.